So I'm delighted to be joined here again by Wendy Shearer, who is Director of Partnerships and Ecosystems at Pulsant for episode 2 of this special IT Channel Auction podcast. Welcome, Wendy.
Thank you for having me back.
No, great. So in the last episode, just to recap, Wendy, you introduced us to Pulsant, but today we're going to be talking about your partner program, Bugbears, from the time that you were a partner leader and how you've actually applied that to building a partner program from scratch for Pulsant. But first, you described your partner program to me in the past as being a bit different from traditional channel programs. So can you just tell us why that is?
I guess, first of all, we describe the partner program intentionally as a partner program as opposed to a channel program. And that's because we've designed it specifically for service providers who want to build new products and services on our digital infrastructure as opposed to resell our digital infrastructure. So that makes it a little bit different to a lot of other channel programs that are out there. But the thing that kind of excites me the most and I think really differentiates it is the concept of ecosystem. And again, ecosystem is another word that you probably hear that all the time. It's bandied about, probably overused. What do I mean by ecosystem? So as a co-location provider, you ultimately have these facilities that are full of hundreds and hundreds of companies whose IT crown jewels sits at your facilities. And those companies could be service providers, they could be from any different vertical, they could be public sector, private sector, enterprise, small, medium businesses, everything is in there. So there's already the concept of it being a really sort of healthy ecosystem of all the different component parts. But where, for me, the magical bit is the ability that we have under a partner program to start connecting those companies together. So I kind of talk about it a little bit like imagine the data centers like an apartment building, and then you've got lots of different people like tenants in the flat. So the apartment building itself, you could create a bit of a community, a kind of neighborhood approach, and they can all get to know each other, and that's good in itself. But from our side, because we then connect all 14 of our data centers together on a private network, then ultimately what that means is we can connect 14 apartment buildings together, and all the different companies of all shapes and sizes that are in it can actually become part of this really big neighborhood community ecosystem. What does that mean in real terms? Like, who cares? So the reason I think that is so special is that because we've got this private network connecting everyone together, then businesses can really quickly, easily, and securely start to trade with each other. So whether that's a service provider connecting into a client to deliver them a service, or whether it's service provider to service provider, because you might do something really bespoke compared to me, and all of a sudden we think, well, I could do a bit more of what you're doing and vice versa. So you start to see the potential for growth. And that's the bit that really excites me about the partner program.
No, definitely. That does make sense. And is there a good example of an MSP partner that has come on board recently that encapsulates that idea?
Yeah, so the one that we talk about, and we're allowed to talk because obviously data centers are often quite discreet, so we obviously ask for people's permission. But 923 is a nice example for us because they're a really small service provider. For people who don't know them, they focus on the high assurance space, so they are very, very specialist. And they serve clients who have high assurance needs, so either in the sort of financial services industry or defence or blue light. And they intentionally chose us because clearly they're a small company, so they don't have the investment to go into their own data centers, and they wanted to use our secure facility and our secure network. So they're building out incredible solutions for that high assurance space. And equally, because they're happy to join the ecosystem and talk openly about what they're doing on our digital platforms, that means that I can talk about them to other people. So I can highlight, if there's any clients that we have, or if there's other partners who actually have a need for something in the high assurance space, then they can start to leverage the work that 923 have put into our facilities. And they're also doing interconnections with like public sector networks and police networks as well. So again, although they're a small partner, having them in our ecosystem means that other people can leverage that. And it just multiplies right out.
Yeah, and can you just recap what are the 3 offerings that you have for partners, the 3 products?
So this is where it's really good because in the channel space, I mean, I've worked for companies where you've got hundreds of different products to try and learn. And Pulsant is really nice because there's only 3. So co-location, cloud, and connectivity, basically.
No, definitely. And so some people will recognise you, know your name from the time you were a leader at Trustmark, I think Computer Centre before that. And so this question, I think, will be one that lots of people watching will identify with. The biggest fails that you saw, partner program fails that you saw when you were a partner leader. Can you give me the 3 biggest fails or pitfalls that you came across during your time as a partner leader? And also, I'd be interested to know, how did you then apply that to building the partner program at Pulsant?
I gave this a lot of thought. I'm a big fan of, do you ever watch the Elizabeth Day podcast, How to Fail? So I really love that, where you can learn from failures and really think about like what should I take out of that? So I did give it a lot of thought because, as you say, I have, in my career worked with lots of different partner programs, and so I thought, what are the things that they didn't do? Like, what was frustrating you, and how can you apply that? The first thing that I thought about is that they say it's partnership, but often it's just a one-way street. It's kind of like partnership with a very, very small p. You'll get someone come along, they'll deliver you sort of bog standard product training that's pre-canned and it's not tailored to you. They don't always take the time to know or understand your business. They don't figure out why you should work with them or how you're going to work with them. They literally just train you on the product, disappear off, come back in 3 months and, look for your pipeline. So I definitely didn't want to do that. And that's why we leaned much more into the concept of partnership rather than reselling and really thinking through. I mean, to be honest, it can take us sometimes a year to onboard a new partner because we give it so much thought about how we're going to work together. So that was definitely one. The other one that I used to see a lot is just race to the bottom. So I bet lots of people will understand that, where vendors pit partners against each other, and the only person that really wins is the vendor because the partners have just ended up stripping out, all the margin, they've put in all that hard work. So how I applied that was I thought, well, I don't want that happens when people are reselling something, so there's no differentiation. So I thought I want to build a partner program that's all about differentiation. So if the partners are building their product or service on our digital infrastructure, to be honest, our bit is invisible. It's really the stuff that they do on top that differentiates them, and that's why we're going to avoid that kind of race to the bottom mentality. And then the third thing that I thought about was like where you could end up competing with them, like their own direct sales force. You've got like that conflict between direct and indirect. And sometimes you'd end up competing against someone who called themselves your partner, but then their direct sellers were competing against you. And you're like, what kind of partnership is this? So again, when I thought about that and I started to think about, well, why does that happen and how do you avoid it? That's when, again, I thought, actually, to avoid it being a commodity sell, it's not resell. If I'm building a solution and that's very different to the product or service that you're building, then we've got that differentiation and the vendor can't go and sell that. We don't sell managed services. We only sell the digital infrastructure. So if you're building a solution on top of that, my sales teams are never going to compete with you. So yeah, 3 tough lessons learned over 25 years, Doug.
Yeah,
but
well, I'm sure
I definitely
a lot of people
them.
would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Listening. So that concludes episode 2. So thanks for running us through that. In episode 3, we'll be talking about one of the biggest buzz phrases of the year, which is sovereign cloud, which I know is an issue that's dear to Pulsant. So thanks for joining us, and hopefully join us then. Thank you.
Thanks.